Hello, my name is Glenn Tobey, and I welcome you to the Heart Wisdom Talk. Every month, Master Lin's Spring Far Qigong has sponsored a focus on different topics for the last several years and months. And it's an opportunity for people that who are practitioners or certified trainers, healers, practice group leaders to share their perspective on the topic around the heart wisdom. I love the title of heart wisdom because we're talking about not so much heart knowledge or knowledge. We're talking about the wisdom. What is the wisdom of the heart? And so today, it's really my excited opportunity to talk with Hector again. Hector Campero, I've known for a number of years. First met him in Mexico City when Master Lin was doing a workshop there, and Hector was really organizing everything. And I was impressed so deeply about two things: his ability to organize and keep things clear. And that really translates now when he shares information, he has a way of having it organized and that he makes things clear. And what the third part of Hector's life for me is his heart is so beautiful, you know. So let me introduce Hector. He can say a little bit about himself, and then we'll start to move into this conversation. Hector,
Hi, thank you so
could you
much,
say?
Glenn. I'm also very, very happy to be here and with everyone else that is watching this dialogue, this conversation about the heart. And as some of you may know, I am a clinical psychologist. I work as a one-on-one therapist, and I use Spring Forest Qigong as the main tool to be able to allow people to reconnect with their well-being and let go of emotional blockages. And I am so excited to be here with all of you and with Glenn.
It is nice to hear that introduction. You do work so diligently on the emotional blockages inside people's lives. So now the topic for today, is uncovering the radiance of the heart. So when I first saw that, I went, "Whoa, this should be like a 3 day show." You know. So I like maybe if Hector could say, how did you come up with that, that title? What kind of sparked your interest in those words?
Yeah, well, my experience with finding peace and well-being has been like, I think, since the time I was born. And as I went through the path of finding myself, I encountered several great teachers, true masters, that revealed to me that the source of all well-being, of all happiness, of all joy and peace was within my heart. So this brings to mind, have you seen those videos where they put like some type of gadgets in people that are deaf, and then suddenly they can hear, or they put some glasses in people that only see two colors and suddenly they can see all the colors? Well, that was my experience when I discovered what was inside my heart. So in a way, my own path and the path that I go through with people that come to me as clients has to do with this uncovering of radiance, a light, a center that is inside all of us.
Wow. Can I ask you maybe, the word heart, it has like so many references or so many, is it the heart? Is it the mind? Could you spend a little time, kind of drawing out what's the vocabulary today when we talk about the heart so that people who are listening in can maybe help clarify that for themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Glenn. So the heart has been used as a symbol of many different things since humanity first developed their language. In the original glyphs in China, one of the first glyphs that appears is the glyph of the heart. And for example, when the glyph of the heart is constrained, they call that emotion fear and anguish. When the glyph of the heart is broken, they call that glyph the glyph of sadness. When the glyph of the heart is imposed or is being um, punched by somebody else, they call that glyph the glyph of anger. So the heart has many different connotations, and it's a very, very rich concept. And to me, the three main aspects that I look into is the heart as the spirit of the person, which includes the mind and the emotions, but I focus mostly on the emotions, and the heart as the seat of the soul, which is the uh, part where we connect with divinity. Of course, we have the physical heart, this fabulous organ that distributes all the blood to all our cells. There are ancient scriptures, both in China and in India, that speak that the seat of the mind is actually in the physical organ of the heart. And I was so glad, like some 7 or 10 years ago, there was a study that discovered that there are memories in the heart, there are neurons in the heart. And when people, for example, have a heart transplant, the new person that received the transplant from the other person has memories of the person who transplanted the heart. So that doesn't happen with the brain, you see. So the memories about our life, the things that makes us happy, that makes us feel alive, those memories are there in the physical heart. So I see the heart in three different levels: the physical, the what we call in Spring Forest Qigong the spiritual, which includes the mind and the emotions, and then we have the soul level of the heart, which is the pure awareness, the light of consciousness that resides in us all, the Tao, the highest level of encounter with the divine. So those are the three different levels, and we experience them all the time. As Master Lin says, we are multidimensional beings. So it is a very rich topic indeed.
So when I hear people talk about the mind, could you help clarify, because you used that just now, is the mind, my brain? Is the mind my heart? Or if I say go deep into my heart, do I go deep into my mind so I think more? Or so if you can help me with my confusion over those words of what is the mind as it relates to what is the heart.
Yeah. So if we look into the different bodies as explained by our master Chun we have the physical body, and then we have the energy body where the chi flows, well, or the meridians where the chi or the prana, if you are from the realm of yoga, flows, that infuses all the organs with this energetic aspect. In that energetic realm is where the mind and the emotions reside or abide. We are mostly identified with that aspect of us. When we say, I am Hector, I am Glenn, we identify with who we believe we are, which includes thoughts that are in the mind. Thoughts are basically symbolic constructs that associate with things in the outside. So, for example, if I'm looking at the screen right now, my mind puts up a symbolic construct that calls this apparatus in front of me computer, which I learned from others. So the mind is basically the thought aspects as I see it. But then you have the emotions. The emotion is a different, deeper vibration. A lot of people think that the emotions come from the mind. I find that this is not so because, as I have been working with different clients and also working in meditation, when a child is first born and they have the first impressions of themselves, they first feel, and it isn't until a year or a year and a half or 2 years after that they begin to construct the patterns of thoughts, thinking, and association that we call the mind. So we first feel. And for example, if by any case a person wasn't expected to be born or was rejected by the parents, they feel that. They don't think that. They feel that. And that feeling constructs a deep sense of identity in their body. So we first feel and then we think. So the feeling aspect, the emotions, happiness, anger, joy, contentment, sadness is the emotional aspect. And the thoughts about it, the naming of the emotion, the naming of the external aspects around us is the mind. That's how I see it and that's how I experience it.
So could you add to that? What do you think the function, in the body, in those three, levels of heart, not to be, organizationally focused. What's their job description anyway? If I'm contracting out the heart,
Yeah.
what am I going to expect them to do for me? So if
Wow.
you could
This,
elaborate further
I
on
mean,
the function.
yeah. I mean, as you said, this could be a workshop.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so you see, when the embryo is first born, the heart is developed first and then the brain. So what keeps us alive is the heart. When the child is born, it is born in a body that cannot survive on its own. We're completely dependent on our caretakers to survive. So the mind and the emotions need to ensure that the body that is completely dependent on the other, that is completely helpless survives. So its essence is a survival function of the bodily entity while it is at a stage in which it cannot self-sustain. That is its first primary function as I see it and as I experience it, working with myself and working with people. So if we receive what we believe we need to survive, we experience contentment, happiness, satisfaction. If we don't, we experience fear, anxiety, worry, anger. If we lose what we think is sustaining us, we feel sadness. So, primarily, the, the spiritual body that contains both the mind and the emotions, the heart as the emotional body is a survival strategy. Then we have the third level of the heart, which is our soul, which resides in the physical space of the heart. And we can also contact that divinity in the top of the head, too, in those different spiritual centers. But the heart is the point where we connect with divinity, which is our true essence. And that divinity, that part inside ourselves, is already full. It doesn't need anything outside to be happy. Is already ever new joy, ever present peace, unconditional love on its own. So as we evolve, we can put each one of the functions in order. So instead of, for example, being identified with my mind and my emotions so that I can please other people, so that they can give me the respect and the love and the affection that I feel I need, but I no longer need if I am an adult, but I feel that I need that. Instead of identifying myself with that structure, which we can call the ego, we can put those two functions in its place and allow ourselves to assume our worthiness, to assume our sovereignty, to assume our contact with the part of us, the true heart, the highest level of the heart. And from that sense of well being, then the mind and the emotions can become more uh, equipoised, can arrive at a level of equilibrium because we're no longer depending on the external to satisfy our needs or to feel that we are needing them to survive. Did that answer your question?
Wow.
Or
Yeah. So, is there something that I can do? There's a two sides to this question. Is there something that I can do to make sure that these three, hearts are functioning well? Or the other side of that is how do I, so to speak, block inside my body, the flow of this or the flow of that, or what do I do or what do I experience, that interferes with how, it's designed to work. So 10
yeah,
words or
absolutely.
less.
Okay, so to keep the physical heart healthy, you need to eat good food, drink a lot of water, do exercise. To keep the emotional and the subtle body healthy, we need to release the blockages that have been accumulated of all of the survival emotions through the years so that we can then be able to contact, to reconnect, and abide in the presence of the spiritual heart.
And how does the soul fit in?
Yeah. So the soul is always there, always present. We can call it the emptiness, which is not really empty because you see, what we call the emptiness in Qigong is truly that part inside of us that has no objects, is not smelling something, is not hearing something, has no thoughts, has no emotion. So therefore is empty of objects, but it is full presence. It is full pure awareness. That is not thinking, that is always there, which is unconditional love because it's not judging us, but it's always presence inside of us. And that is the source of the happiness, the well-being, the love, the joy that we're looking for and we're looking for when we were younger in the external. So as we purify the subtle body, the channels where the chi flows, we are able to see and recognize the part of us that has always been already full. And the reason we cannot see that is because we have accumulation of afflictive emotions from the past in the survival aspect, the survival function of the emotional body.
What would it look like in my body or someone else's life, if there's damage or blockages or, is it when I get grouchy? Is that, harming my heart in a way? So what do some of the behaviors do to a person's emotional heart life?
Yeah, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think that you're speaking about the five afflictive emotions that we speak of in Spring Forest Qigong, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the emotional body, as a survival mechanism, has these five survival emotions, which are fear, which is this is the primary. As soon as the physical body comes into this world, the first thing that the child experiences is fear because they are acutely aware of not being able to fulfill their needs on their own. So fear, then from fear comes anger. What if what I'm needing doesn't come? If anger accumulates, it becomes hatred, which is an anger against another. If the anger against another is more and more accumulated, I begin to worry and become very anxious that the things that might need to satisfy me won't come. So, worry, anxiety. And if I continue to worry and become anxious about things, and everything around me is just not working, or I lose what I believe was supplying me the well being in my life from the external, I become sad. And if sadness becomes more concentrated, it can become depression. So this is like what we would call the cycle of afflictive emotions in the emotional body, corresponding to the five elements as Master Lin uh, teaches them. So, how do you know if you have emotional blockages? You know because when you remember something, you feel immediately an afflictive emotion. As you re-encounter a person that did something wrong or bad to you, you experience that afflictive emotion. As you are trying to reach a goal and you feel afraid that you're not worthy of attaining that goal, that this goal is not for you, that perhaps other more lucky people are worthy of attaining that goal, but not you, that's an afflictive emotion. Afflictive emotion makes us feel small, limited. Uh, it's scarce. We feel scarcity, need.
Hmm. Could you say you work individually with people using this material? Could you? I don't want to say give me a case study, but could you
Yeah.
explain maybe how you go about talking to someone using this really wonderful information about the heart?
Sure. So I'll give you a very brief example. So this lady uh, had panic attacks every time she needed to make a presentation at work, and she was a VP, so she needs to make a lot of presentations because she's part of the leadership. But each time that she thinks about giving a presentation, she begins to perspire. Her throat begins to become constricted. Becomes very nervous. She begins to stammer and so on. So she comes to me. She tells me that experience. So I ask her to close her eyes, relive the experience of giving a presentation. I ask her, what is the emotion that you're feeling? So she might say anxiety. And then I ask her, where do you feel it? And she might say, in my throat. And then I ask her, what is the level of anxiety that you fear as you recall this event from 0 to 10? She might say 10 or 8 or 9. And then what I
Hmm.
do is that I connect with my master. I connect with my heart. There is a point of joy inside my heart, and then I connect with the person. As I connect with the person, I can feel, because she has already told me where the anxiety is in her throat, and then I use the spring for Qigong movements to take out the afflictive emotion from her. And then I asked her, okay, so how are you feeling now from the level of 8 or 10 that you were feeling? How is it
Hmm.
now? So she can say 2 or 1 or 0. And the goal is that it goes to 0. So when she remembers be given a presentation, she's not feeling that anxiety again. That's the first objective test, so to speak, in the
Hmm.
session. And then the verification on the outside is that next time that she gave the presentation, she didn't feel the anxiety preparing and giving it, because the emotional blockage that was making her feel that if other people rejected her, she was going to be a failure is no longer there. We have taken that emotional blockage out of the system. There are more things behind it, but in essence, that's what it is.
Hmm. So I hear you saying on two levels. One is here's how you can intervene to help another, but also here's a way that someone can what work preventatively on their own anxiety or whatever their
Oh,
energy
yeah.
blockage could be. And I
Okay,
think
okay.
that's what you're beginning to describe is that if she has to speak again, she knows kind of the formula by which she can focus on her throat or focus on where the anxiety. So you're teaching her a skill, not just depend on Hector to fix me in a way.
Yeah, well, you see, the work on the emotional body is the same work that, uh, as a spring force Qigong healer, that you do with the energy blockages that are harming a person's organ. So once you take the energy blockages in that sense, the organ can regenerate. But if you continue to do the same things that you did before, that were the cause of your organ becoming afflicted, then you might get sick once again. So, in the same way, let's say with this person, once she was no longer experiencing this blockage, as soon as at any moment in time she had a negative thought about herself, then I teach her things to do with any afflictive emotion in the moment so that emotion doesn't accumulate again. And so I have several techniques. One of them, which is very simple, I call name, accept, let go. So you name the emotion, I'm feeling anxiety. You accept the emotion, you tell yourself, it's okay for me to feel, it's okay to feel this anxiety. And the third one, you just stay present with the emotion and you tell yourself, it's okay to let you go. No afflictive emotion can last for more than 90 seconds physiologically in the system. It is impossible for it to last more than 90 seconds. So, why does it last more? Because we judge our afflictive emotions, we repeat to ourselves the victimizing stories about why we're feeling this way, and we blame ourselves or others when we're feeling those emotions. So, this small technique that I gave you, the simple technique that I gave you, allow us to cultivate what Master Lin teaches us again and again, which is unconditional love, kindness, and forgiveness for ourselves. So that when any emotion comes to the foreground, we can relate to it with full acceptance and kindness. And when we don't judge it and we are just present with it, the emotion is just going to come like a wave and is going to merge back into the ocean of consciousness where it came from. And in that way, we prevent the accumulation of emotional blockages in our body. Of course, nothing would work if we're not doing our spring forest qigong movements, because chi is the driver force that allows the blockages to flow out. But that's in essence how we can prevent them.
Yes, I hear you kind of talking about like it can last 90 seconds and how come it goes longer. I kind of go, well, it's because I feed it. I want this anxiety to continue. So I'm going to keep doing things that keep the anxiety alive and well, you know. And I think that's what, a lot of folks that I know, myself included, how do we feed those kinds of afflictive emotions as opposed to, maybe the word is mindset. Could you speak more to then what is the mindset that you might have in order to address the afflicted emotions?
Yeah, Master Li uses a beautiful word from his Chinese tradition, which is Wu Wei. Wu Wei is the stance of complete unconditional acceptance. There's a beautiful story of a master gardener that he had a touch of gold. So whatever he touches, all the plants and the flowers flow beautifully. So there was this student that traveled around the world to find the master. He finds the master and he asks the master, okay, so what is your secret? And so the master says, well, my secret is I dig a hole in the ground, I plant the plant on the floor, I cover it, I water it, and then I don't touch it. And he said, well, that's it? Yeah. He said, but everybody does that. And he says, no. He said, you see, most people come the next day and begin to poke at the plant to see if anything is coming up. Then if it's coming this way, they try to correct it this other way. And then they change it of place because it's not working. And then they worry about the plant. So I just let it be. And so it's the same regard towards our emotions, the regard of Wu Wei, which is unconditional acceptance and unconditional love. When we can regard our heart, the emotions that come from our heart, from that stance of unconditional acceptance and love, the emotions feel free to appear, to let us know what's happening with them, and then our emotional body can grow. It doesn't stay as when we were 6 years old or teenagers, or, it grows up to be able to deal with the different flavors of the emotions as if it was a rainbow, and not ourselves clubbing them down because we feel bad about them every time they come. So, conditional acceptance is the primary mental framework, if you will, regarding our uh, regarding our emotions. Yeah,
So I hear you saying a little bit that the body knows how to heal itself or to function
yeah,
very well. And then your image of planting and then coming back and poking at it, then it seems like then I start using my head, my brain. Is it working? Is it growing? Where is it happening? What should I do? Rather than saying what? Go back to what? Let it go. Come back to your heart. Let the natural system, the chi development in the heart. Does that make sense? That the entrance of the mind to think about how to fix everything versus going to the heart and allowing the body to respond as it's uh, conditioned or instructed to do.
yeah, exactly. And you see, when we were talking about the primary role of the mind and the emotions as a survival strategy, where did we learn to speak about ourselves? Who taught us to talk to us? This is my psychoanalytic background, but
Yeah,
our parents and the environment did. So
yeah,
if we felt that being happy was annoying my caretaker, I might I might judge. Sorry, I might judge when I'm feeling happy, and I feel I'm not worthy of feeling happy. If I feel angry and my caretaker says, "Oh, shut up! Oh, boys don't cry! Oh, blah blah," then I say, "Okay, so this is dangerous for me. I shouldn't feel angry." Because if I'm angry, my caretaker is going to become upset and I'm in survival danger. This is a life or death situation for the child. So every time that anger comes up, or anxiety or sadness, we are all different. There is a
mhm,
part of us that say, no, don't feel that. Because if you feel that, means that you are not worthy of love, means you are not a good person, means you're not worthy of the goodness of life, means that you deserve to be rejected, that you deserve not to thrive, that you deserve not to be healthy. So, as we practice unconditional self acceptance regarding our emotional body, that other voice becomes quiet because this poor other little voice from infancy is just looking for love and acceptance. But we can tell her, no worries, I'm going to give it to you. There's nothing you can do that is going to be rejected by me.
yeah.
You can behave however you want to. I'm here
So
for
when,
you. You're not
yeah, so
alone.
when,
I love you.
so when the mind goes ahead, the brain starts thinking differently. I'm not deserving. I'm not this. Then you what? Go back to your heart, and the heart, the body doesn't reject you, doesn't judge you, accepts you as you are. The brain has some other opinions, so to speak, but the heart doesn't. So more and more, if we're
Yeah,
practicing going to a heart, practice going to a heart, practice going to a heart, go deeper into a heart. For me, like the emptiness is like now I'm ready for the heart to take me someplace. I've eliminated all my brain stuff. I'm empty from my brain thinking, and now I'm opening to the emptiness so I can receive that the blessing, the depth of the heart, in order to have this kind of love for myself inside. Does that ring true for you?
Absolutely, absolutely, Glenn. I mean, and I believe that you are also talking about the importance of regular practice, because you
Yeah,
see this this way of addressing our emotions and ourselves is not a technique, like a mental technique. You can say the words, I'm feeling like this, it's okay, blah blah. You can tell to your emotion, I am here for you, you're not alone, I love you. But if the words don't have feeling, it's just as empty as an affirmation without soul. It will not do the work. So, where does the true power of the heart, the unconditional love, come from? It comes from us practicing the Spring Forest Qigong movements that take us to abide in the space free of judgment that we call the emptiness, pure consciousness, pure stillness, where we can observe our body as it is moving, and we can just be with our body present. So this in itself is deep and genial from the early Spring Forest Qigong Masters way of us beginning to de-identify with the body. We are observing the body as it moves. We are observing the breath as it flows. We are observing our thoughts as they come up. And we can also observe our emotions as they appear, like as we do in the five element movements. So as we begin to take distance first in the active movements, and then when we sit down and we practice sitting meditation and we focus on the heart, we focus on the joy that we practice during the five elements movements, or the happiness, or the contentment, or the gratitude, that portal of high level emotion takes us immediately in touch with our soul, with the true heart, with our true being. And from there, we are able to observe the thoughts that come in meditation and the other emotions that come in meditation, and come back to the center, come back to the center, come back to the center. Therefore, as we learn to step out slowly, I always recommend this to the people that are working with me. You need to come out of your contact in meditation slowly. Just don't open your eyes and begin to rub your hands. You need to maintain the connection with the center of well-being and peacefulness within. And as you open your eyes, you're still there. You're still connected. You haven't lost it. Then, as you move throughout your day and you use these techniques, you use them to pause and reconnect with that state that you have been cultivating daily during your Spring Forest Qigong movements and sitting meditation. So this allows you to reframe completely the way you react to yourself and the way you respond to the external happenings in your life.
I like the way you talk about the need for practice. I know with the movements in Qigong, those are like for the external, the body, and then the meditation is to go deeper, into your heart. So I had read a long time ago that the definition of a spirituality was the art of coming home. And so it's
Mm,
like what you're saying about practice is almost like when the world is impacting me in different ways, and I'm responding to what's happening in that world that's impacting me. What tools do I have to come home to myself, to balance the hearts? So always being aware that my world is going to impact me. I'm going to have an interaction with it, but I have a solution, or I have a way of healing. I have a way of balancing myself, as you're talking about in the emotions. So always, I have the tool to come back. I have the tool to come home. I have the tools to meditate. So it's not just I got this down and no, it's like the world is going to be impacting you kind of like all the time. And then, so how do I be aware of what's happening to me as this happens and that happens? That it has effect on both our physical body, but certainly our emotional body, as you describe, and then the impact on the rest of our life. So the practicing
Yeah, yeah,
is.
beautifully said.
So one last question. This is maybe not a fair one, but I don't care. No, I hear Western medicine talking more frequently about broken heart syndrome, that someone can be overpowered by grief. They have a broken heart.
Yeah,
So now there's a label coming out. Oh, you're suffering from a broken heart syndrome. So just as I say that, what's your first thought just about that phrase, a broken heart syndrome?
yeah. I haven't heard this spoken in those words, but what comes to my mind as you mentioned that term, I think that this person suffered a loss of a relationship with another that was meaningful and was giving them joy and love and even meaning to their life. And this
Mm-hmm.
other could be from a pet to an activity. For example, let's say that you ski in the mountains and you suffer an accident and you can no longer ski. That's gonna break your heart. Or you had this relationship with another person that you loved and he or she left you, or the relationship didn't work out, so your heart breaks. So this breaking of the heart to me has to do with the afflictive emotion of sadness, which includes both uh, the mourning process, the grief process, and it can include depression too. So when the heart is broken, we feel, or that's how we call it, we feel the acute pain of that which we thought was bringing us fulfillment no longer being there. And most of us feel that that was the only source of that fulfillment, and that what I'm saying must be true because I hear the sound.
Yeah.
It's the alarm, yeah.
it's,
So
it's my neighborhood screaming. That's all.
yeah, so come to the rescue, somebody come to the rescue. Yeah, so we feel the acute pain of having lost something that we felt was given to us, all of that. The thing is that, truly speaking, the source of that was not the other person. I mean, I know this
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah. Sorry about that.
like
Yeah.
everybody says that, but you see,
Yeah.
we will it's true. We will not get it until we begin to give to ourselves the acknowledgement that the other person was giving to us, the acceptance that the other person was giving to us, the kindness that the other person was giving to us, the love that the other person was giving to us. When we recognize through the practice of Qigong and Qi infused meditation, when we begin to behave in ways that are kind and accepting of ourselves, then this part of us that was needing the other, looking for the other half. This is such a great metaphor in the modern world. I'm looking for the other half. I'm looking for the one. But if the one goes, then we believe there's not another.
Yeah.
And if the other half goes, then we're still empty. And we need to look for another half that might not fit as greatly as the other one fit. And then we're on the look on the outside. But when we take the route of coming home, as you so beautifully explained, we can first heal the broken heart. The mourning process includes shock, anger and sadness, resistance that what we loved is gone, then acceptance that what happened to us, and finally give a new meaning to that event. So if a broken heart is going to bring me back to myself, awesome. The trick is to allow ourselves to go through the process of the broken heart, because the mourning process is not something to get rid of. The mourning process, as I have experienced it with people, is how the heart heals. If you break an arm, you wouldn't be expecting, oh my God, how come it hurts? Why do I have a cast? Well, because the hurt and the cast are part of the healing. So the mourning process is the same. So it is so different to deal with loss from a space, from our regard of self acceptance and kindness, to regarding the mourning as nobody's gonna ever love me. This is not for me. All women are the same. All men are the same. I lost the one. I'm never gonna find it, and so on. So we just elongate the period of mourning for months and some people for years until we can recognize that fountain, that source from
Mhm.
within.
Oh,
So that's how I see it.
that's beautiful, Hector. Thank you. Say, in the time that we have, could you lead us into a, meditation?
Great.
Five,
Okay.
10, 5,
Fantastic.
6, 7 minutes? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you so much, Glenn. It's always a delight to talk to you, to be with you, and with Katrina too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guide us in a meditation to the heart. And we're going to be using the three hearts: the physical, the emotional, and the subtle one, the connection with our souls. So I'm just going to ask you to be in a posture where you can be comfortable, and when your spine can be elongated so that your awareness is present here and now. Your hands can be positioned in an open way, facing down on your thighs or knees. And you may gently want to close your eyes. And as always, we begin by focusing on the first plane, the physical plane. So be sure that your shoulders are relaxed, and take three deep breaths, breathing deep and breathe out long, breathe in deep, breathe out, let go, breathe in deep and breathe out long. Continuing on the physical plane, I'm going to ask you to position your right hand, if you are right handed, or your left hand, if you're left handed, in the center of your chest where your heart abides. And try to sense how that feels like. Can you sense the warmth in your hand? Can you sense the movement in your chest? Can you sense your beating heart? As you are there, gently, softly smile. This is again a physical prompt, but focus on the point within the center of your chest where the joy appears, where the contentment flows, where happiness, pure happiness, abides when you smile. And focus there. Be present with that joy. If the joy subsides, gently smile again. Reconnect with the joy. Now you are abiding in the second level of the heart. Pure emotion that is not dependent on anything you're thinking. You just smile. You connected with the essence of joy in the heart. And if you lose contact because you think about another thing or you get distracted, you smile again and you focus on the point in the center of the heart where pure, ever new joy arises. As you breathe in joy towards the heart. As you breathe out, expand that loving, joyful presence to the rest of your body. If you lose contact with that joy, smile again. Be in touch with the ever present joy in the heart and stay with it as you focus more and more in that joy. You're going to realize that behind the joy, observing the joy, being present with the joy, allowing you to see the joy, there's this pure, enveloping awareness that is just conscious of the joy, present with the joy. Allow the joy to become the light that makes you aware of the presence of the soul in your heart. Smile again. Become aware of the gentle flow in your breath. Keep the inner smile and gently open your eyes. Now, as you're looking outside, keep your focus inside in the inner smile. It doesn't need to go anywhere. It is ever present. And this is another way in which we can reconnect to that center throughout our day. If you feel that the energy was strong and you feel you need to, now you can rub your hands and massage your face 3 times and gently cup your head and gently massage your ears 3 times. And you can just keep smiling. So this was just a small taste.
Well, Hector, I'm still smiling, and I'm smiling at you for this wonderful time that we spent exploring a very expansive, expanding, you know, uh, focus on what is the heart and the different aspects. So I'm glad that you're guiding us to lead into more understanding. So those that have listened to this, please continue in your meditation if you wish, or come back to it when you need to. So I hope you have a good evening, a good morning, wherever you may be, and stay connected. Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.